In today's episode, I'm going to be walking you through the final archetype of the masculine psyche, and that is my most favorite because it brings the sensitivity to life that we are seeking, is the lover archetype. What's going on, guys? I am Dr. Dave. Welcome to the Unbreakable Man podcast. And in today's episode, like I said, I'm going to be walking you through the last of the four major archetypes of the masculine psyche. If you haven't already watched the other podcasts or episodes, either on YouTube or iTunes, check those out. I walk you through all of the other archetypes that are very important for you to understand what it means to be a mature man. Now, where you can dive deeper into this is actually in the book by Robert Moore, Douglas Gillette. I'm going to get the book so I know what I'm talking about. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's one of my favorite books. It is the book that really guided me into understanding the masculine psyche better so that I could start to show up as a more whole and full spectrum man. When I did, everything started to shift for me. And I was realizing that I was still showing up as a boy with all of my doubts and all of my worries and all of my, trepidations in life. And I really needed to step into myself as a more full spectrum whole man. And this book really guided me through that. It also guided me through the process of ritual initiation and what that meant and what it means. And in fact, is the reason I even started the Unbreakable Man experience, which, by the way, we do have openings still, depending on when this lands, for March 15th to the 17th. As of this recording, though it probably most likely will be filled up by the time you hear this episode. But if you are looking for a true ritual initiation into a higher level of being, to know your purpose, to know the reason you were put on this planet, to know why you need to do what you need to do and how to break through all of the doubt and all of the old mindsets and all the childish blocks that stop you from being that man, then the Unbreakable Man experience is absolutely the thing you need. I highly recommend you check it out. Go to theunbreakableman.com and apply in the website. All right. So let's dive into today's episode. What the lover archetype is again, the final of the four major archetypes, my favorite because it really brings a uniqueness to life. It really brings this essence, this flow, this juicy, it's like this guttural, fuck yeah, I love it. I love life. And when you are starting to access this archetype, and I'm going to explain really quick what an archetype is if you haven't already seen the other episodes. An archetype is a part of our psyche in the psychic space that allows us to have the energy of something that we're looking to create. So we can there's four major archetypes that I described earlier in the episode, but there are hundreds of archetypes, right? Think of it like an archetype like an energy that you channel to give you something that makes life a little bit easier. You could access the Joker archetype. If you're a comedian, that's a very, very good one to access. And the Joker is the part of you that creates humor. It also is the part of you that the Shadow Joker kind of shields you from really feeling pain and feeling joy and all these things, which I know sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's there. The four main archetypes of the masculine are the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. And the lover is the one that we're going to talk about today. It's also the one that's the most counterintuitive to men. And I say this because men really view masculinity as really just either the king or the warrior archetype. They really view masculinity as this idea that I need to do, I need to act, I need to have worth by going out there and taking action. When in reality, the lover archetype is the part of us that creates sensitivity within our own vessel. It's the part of us that gives us the ability to feel a little bit deeper into ourselves. Now, for some of us, that does come online pretty early and, we kind of just feel. I know I was a very sensitive kid. I'm a very sensitive man because I just feel things. I just noticed that even growing up. I just noticed I would just feel energy in a room. I would kind of catch a vibe. And here's I'll give an example of when you were using the lover archetype without even realizing it. is when you walk into a room or a situation and you can just feel the vibe. When I mean that, like the vibe, you're like, oh, like that's, I don't really like that. But if you notice that you're using that, it's a sensitivity to life. You're using the lover archetype in that moment to realize, oh man, there's something here for me. Like there's like information, I'm picking up information. And so it's either a good vibe or a bad vibe, and you can kind of tune into it. And depending on how you're feeling and what your intentions are, you can show up into that environment and either bring joy, bring light, bring love, or you can bring it down. Just depends on the situation. I've been in a situation before where everybody was having a good time and there was like a one person that was like really bringing everybody down. And it was really interesting. I was combating it to the best of my ability, but it happens. So the lover archetype really comes online. It gives you a sensitivity to life. It's like the juiciness, the feeling of like, ooh, yeah, baby. Like, ooh, yeah. And obviously we use the lover archetype when we are making love to a woman or whatever your prerogative is, right? Like when you are experiencing the essence of sex, like the essence of fuck, right? Like the wholeness of it. And you're really falling into it and you're really surrendering into it. It gives you the ability to feel deeper. Again, for many men, this is so counterintuitive because we are typically told that we are not free to express our emotions, that creates weakness. Now, here's the thing, when you are truly a mature masculine man, you have the ability to tap into the warrior archetype when you need, and then tap into the lover archetype when you need. You're not stuck in any one way. You have the awareness to know, when do I need to be strong? I need to be strong here. You have the awareness and the consciousness to know, oh, when do I need to be soft and nurturing or feel, right? Like you have the ability, the bandwidth. I call it a full spectrum, man, because you know when to tap into that ease, that joy, that love, and when to tap into that warrior energy. And sometimes you can honestly mix them both. When you're working out, you can have joy. You can experience joy and be working out. It doesn't have to be so hard and struggle and strive, like you can really enjoy it. So the lover energy starts to allow us to really tap into life. It brings that sensitivity. It also brings a sense of libido. And when I say libido, I mean like not just like a sexual libido, but like a thirst for life. Like yes, life has meaning. Life is beautiful. To look at the sunset and say, man, it's fucking beautiful. To look at the sunrise in the same sense, to look at your wife or your girlfriend in the eyes and just bask in her beauty. To write a song, to write a poem, to create, right? That is that lover energy that brings forward. And I'm even getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Like it brings this like, woo, this sensitivity that we just love. And it brings meaning to this planet. And sometimes life can be fucking hard. Like I get it. Like the entire reason I put this in the whole program, the podcast, like everything I do together was for men that are looking just for like, what the fuck do I need to do? Because life can be hard. But when you start to access these things like the lover within, and it gives you like, oh, okay, like I just need to do this. Like I just need to feel. Like, what if I just like allow myself to feel and no one's around, right? And it feels fucking weird. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to feel myself. Like, oh, I'm going to feel my arm. I'm going to feel it. Like I'm feeling myself feel, and that's okay, right? And you stop making it so shameful, right? You start to show up in your sensation, right? In your sensuality and your sensationalness. It's almost like in a way, like a peacocking, but not like kind of different. It's like you being you, all of you, and just being. And when you are that, you are accessing the lover energy, the lover archetype that's like, fuck yeah, I'm going to show the fuck up. Just be all of you. And when you are that, like other people will see that and be like, whoo, I love what that guy's got going on. I'm going to be all of that. And when I'm all of that, then it's like, yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So when to access the lover. I personally enjoy using the lover sort of in the background. Like we can use the lover all day if we want and just kind of be in the flow. But because we are men, we generally like to take action. I do too. And like, absolutely. But I also like to use a lover to make life interesting. Like, why else live life? Like, why just struggle for the sake of struggling? What if you set your intention of being like, all right, I'm going to go do this workout, but I'm going to have a lot of fun doing it. Or I'm going to go, mow the yard, but I'm going to just like really like listen to music and just like, fuck yeah, just like beat bop, just really feel into life. And so I'm oftentimes using the lover energy sort of in the background as a mechanism to just like feel good. And I will literally at times I'll throw on music and I'm like, dance party, and we'll just like have a dance party. And that's me using my lover energy to just like love life, to bring that joy, to bring that play, to bring that fun. And I'm like, yeah, dude, this is it. This is it. Because it raises the vibration. And when we are accessing the lover in its fullness, then we can access the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment of life. Now, this is what makes life fun. Why else live life, right? It brings meaning to life. It also gives you the ability, again, to create poetry. So you probably have heard of things like the warrior poet, right? Like it's like this man that's like, I'm a man, I'm out there, I'm going to go create something of merit. And also the poet side of things, which is like the visceral feel, the sensation, the ease. The poet is not just the magician, because a lot of people confuse poet for magician. The poet is the visceral sensation of life. The magician is like the philosopher. And I've talked about the magician in the other podcast, but the magician is there to give you the thinking element of life, right? It's the philosopher. It's the part of you that thinks. The poet, the lover, is the part of you that flows, that experiences a cold plunge and writes a poem about it, right? So if you are looking to access your lover more succinctly, I encourage you to write poetry, to get into photography, to draw, to paint, to dance, to move. And a lot of times, especially for men who have been really honed in that masculinity must be warriorship, well, like those guys are going to have the hardest time with that lover archetype, and vice versa, right? Most men have a little bit easier time with the king and the magician archetype. It's like they know how to think, they know how to like call on purpose. But it's either, for most men, it's either the warrior archetype they're having a hard time or the lover archetype. And so they are kind of like this dichotomous thing. And yet at the same time, you can use them together as one. And that's the beauty. You can work out and have fun. You can go do work and just enjoy it. You can really play, enjoy it. Like, yeah, man, like this is good. So again, you can use a lover archetype in that sense. Now, when the lover archetype is in the shadow element, is when we fall into addiction. And how this shows up is the shadow element of our psyche is the part of us that just wants to feel better. Or it's a part of us that's like trying to shield from pain and it doesn't want to experience pain. And so the shadow element of the lover archetype is the addict. And the addict is the part, it's like, do you ever see like a cocaine user, right? Or maybe you've done cocaine. It's like they have a ritual around it. It's like their little ritual is like, yeah, I'm gonna roll this thing out. I'm gonna just like get your mirror out. And you cut your line. You do your thing, and like they do it. It's like they got this ritual around it because they've done it enough times. Like I know for me, I got a ritual around my coffee, right? I'll raise my hand. Like my coffee in the morning, I literally like, I weigh it, I measure it. I have like that whole thing that's like, like I can like get the temperature of the water just right to like 198 degrees, like I could just like hone it in. And so you can use the lover archetype in its fullness to really dive into the visceral sensation. But if you are unconscious to this, you'll actually start to experience the addict. And the addict is there when it's trying to feel better. And we don't want to bash ourselves for this, but there's a lot of shame underneath. And the shame is going to keep you in the addiction. And the addiction doesn't have to be like drugs or alcohol. Like it could be. It could be social media. It could be complaining, right? It could be working out. It could be working. You're addicted to work, right? You're using the warrior archetype as like in the shadow lover archetype to like work more because you're afraid of feeling inadequate, right? Whatever that thing might be. And so the addict is there that comes online just to feel better, just to feel better, just to feel better. It could be porn. It could be television. It could be sports. It could be sports gambling. That is massive nowadays, right? Like that is huge. A lot of guys don't even think about that. It could be fucking like in the same, like maybe you're not using sports gambling, but you're just like, you got a fantasy football team and you're like, I got to check my fantasy football, right? Like maybe it's that. And so the archetype that is the lover in the shadow form will present itself in all of your addictions. And what it's doing is it's trying to shield you from feeling pain. So it's looking for something else to feel good. It's looking to feel. And so when you start to call on, the magician will start to come online first to be like, fuck yeah, man. I know I've been doing this. Damn it. What do I got to do? What do I got to do next? Then the lover comes in and is like, all right, I got to feel. You got to also access the warrior energy of like the courage enough to feel it. And the king to say, onwards, we're going to go in this direction. And when you do, that's when you start to see, okay, I'm seeing the landscape. The king comes online. The warrior is a courageous one to take action. The magician is the one that thinks like, I got to change. And it's the lover that feels. It's the lover that feels. You start to feel deeper into the pain, feeling into the pain. And it's like, whoa. And it starts to emancipate itself from you. And it starts to come out in the most profound way. Wow. Whatever happens. And when it does, that's when you are emancipated. You no longer have to be afraid of your own inner pain, right? And that shadow part of you, the shame, the guilt, whatever you feel ashamed of is no longer there because it's no longer in charge. And you have a new awareness and a new sensation around it because you realize it wasn't as bad, but you had to go into it. And so the lover is the part of us that will help us heal, that will help us heal deep wounds. And then when we heal deep wounds, we can truly show up in life as who we want to be. We can be more sensational, right? You think about like great actors. They have access to the lover archetype and they're like, yes. And I think about Robin Williams and I love him. I love the way he shows up, right? Because he's like, yes, like just all of him. He's sensational. He's accessing the lover. Now, part of the shadow lover again is depression. Because when we feel like we are not able to express ourselves in any way, well, then we feel depressed. We saw, unfortunately, what happened to Robin Williams at the end of his life. He got a disease, he got depressed, and then he really got into a dark place. And so the ability to use the lover is important for you to really allow yourself to feel. And that is so important because it will free you. Your freedom is on the other side of your pain. I'm going to say that again. Your freedom is on the other side of the pain. And that pain is the doorway that you need to walk through. And when you do, it's like there's a whole nother world on the other side of that door. But all you have to do is walk through it. And the way you walk through it is you literally feel it and you move. You physically move forward. Like you physically get up and walk or do or breathe or do something. You physically move your body. I personally love breath work where you don't have to actually move forward, but I love also using workouts as a mechanism to feel deeper. So if I'm angry, right? If I'm triggered by something, I'll actually use the warrior energy and also the lover energy to just like, if I'm, doing back squats, I'm just like, almost letting out that rage through that. And I'm feeling deeper, using the lover energy to feel into that. That's when everything shifts because you allow yourself to experience it. And so the lover can be used in a very, very positive way. It absolutely can. And I encourage you to access the lover energy. And how you do that, write poetry, write songs. Maybe maybe you want to get in music. Do that, right? Do something with sensuality. Like anything, dance, movement, play, joy, have fun, right? Make love to your wife. Do it. Be sensual. Don't just go through the motions. Bang, 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 right? Feel her skin, her hair, look into her eyes, right? Like it's a different experience when you do that. but allow yourself to feel, because when you do, you're going to be a full spectrum man, and you'll have the totality of the human experience at your fingertips. And that's where you raise your consciousness. When you are no longer susceptible to all of the ways that the world used to be, right? Like, you got to be this certain way, or you got to do this, or if you're a man, you have to be in this box. But you get free will choice at that point to have as much fun as you want. And that's the joy of life. All right? Freedom, movement, expression, play, joy, have fun. Man, that's where the lover archetype comes in. And so the lover archetype, one of my favorites. I absolutely love the lover archetype because it really brings a lot of that joy. And, somebody told me this once, and it was actually the wife of one of my clients. And it was actually a lot of fun. She's like, you're kind of like this Viking meets like this guy at a rave party that just loves everybody. And I was like, yeah, that's basically what I am. I'm like this mix between a Viking where I'm like, whoa, let's go, let's fucking do, right? Let's conquer the world. And also like, yeah, man, let's love each other. Let's play, let's have fun, let's enjoy life. Because that's what life's all about, man. Like, why else are we doing this? Right? So many guys get wrapped up in their head. They're like, I know what masculinity is, and it has to be hard work. And that's it. Right? And if you aren't in that camp, then you feel very like unqualified. You don't have confidence. But if you're in that camp, then you hold on. You're like, oh, I'm going to be a man. Who's got the boats? Right? We're going to carry the boats. But you can't feel, right? When in reality, you want to feel better. Like, why do we do anything in life? Why are you even listening to this podcast right now? So it can give you some information to help you feel better. That's the point of all of this. And now you are equipped with that information. You use the magician archetype to learn, to think. And now I encourage you to use the lover archetype to start feeling into things. Walk through a trail. Feel nature. Fucking feel it. Feel a tree. What does a tree feel like? I don't know. Go feel it, right? That's the fun part. Like, feel a stream running over your body if you sit in it. Just feel it, man. Feel it all. That is what life is all about. It's all about the emotion, the feeling. And that's the juiciness. It's the reason we watch movies. It's the reason we read books. It's because it makes us feel different. And so if you feel like, for you personally, if you are stuck in life, this is your way out, right? I promise you this. If you feel stuck, if you feel trapped, if you feel like you can't move forward, what is happening is that you are not allowing yourself to feel something. And so I encourage you to do something that gets outside of your comfort zone and feel that. So honestly, one of the easiest ways to do that, get into a cold shower every day. Every day, and feel it. And don't run from it. Don't run from the pain, but feel it. Or doing a cold bath, right? Like a cold plunge, like 2-3 minutes. Like, work your way up, right? But like, get in, feel, because it's going to start to shift something in you. And when you start feeling, you're going to start shifting your consciousness, because it's in the actual visceral sensation of life that we have conscious awareness of what that thing is. And the reason we either do something or do not do something is because we either think it's going to cause pain or bring us to pleasure. And we will honestly stay, and this is like the quote, like, we will stay in a known hell, right? Rather than moving into an unknown heaven. Because that unknown is actually more uncomfortable for us because we don't know what it feels like. And so whatever situation you're in life right now, just honor where you are at. Like, honor it. Feel it. And in the feeling, you will be emancipated. And when it starts to come out, and this is what I literally facilitate at the Unbreakable Man experience. I literally just, like, honestly, I don't tell you what to say or do. I don't tell you what, like, being a man actually is, right? I literally just, like, guide you, and I confront the feeling. So like, when you feel like you're not expressing yourself, I just guide you closer into that, and there's no way to go, and you just like kind of freak out and you can't go anywhere else, and you have to feel deeper, and then it comes out. And this is terrifying for most men. And the way I know this and I've shared this before in other podcasts, but I'm going to share it again because I think this is really, really important. I really want this to hit home. That the wounding in the masculine structures is so prevalent in today's society, like wounding, like pain, because men have this belief that masculinity is warriorship, and that is not true. Masculinity is full spectrum, wholehearted. Yes, have a strong back. Fucking take action, do things. Let's go. It's also the ability to be soft and sensitive, to know how to use both, to be full spectrum. That's the point. That is mature masculine. That's the entire point of growing up. It's the entire point of sending young boys off to get initiated by tribal elders so that they can come back with their purpose. What are they good at? What is their skill set? How are they going to serve the greater good of humanity in that tribe? And go through initiations which are so painful in the moment that they can't run from themselves, and then they come back with a new level of consciousness. That's what initiation is. That's the whole point of initiation. And the reason I teach it and I tell everybody exactly what it is so that you are equipped. That's the point. That's the point of the magician in his fullness. If I kept everything from you and I was like, I have a secret, or I have it like this, like, I think people like think that sometimes, like I'm trying to like hold back some information. I will literally tell you everything I'm about to do, and I'll have you do it, and it'll still have the same effect. You know, it's like a lot of fun when you don't know what's going to happen next, because that's kind of the point. You don't always want to know, right? That's the whole point of being in the discomfort of like, what's going to happen? But I guide you in a very structured way. But why I'm telling you this, again, is a lot of men have an idea of what masculinity is. They really do. And they have an idea of what therapy is, and an idea of what like you need to do to be a man, and like, oh, you know, like if we do these things, like, we're not a man. But dude, like when somebody sees like a full spectrum man and it's other, right? It's outside of their box of reality. It really triggers the wounds inside of them, and the shadow elements of self come forward. The shadow warrior wants to spew bullshit, right? Maybe it's on Instagram, or maybe it's on, you know, YouTube comments, or whatever it is. Like it just comes out, it projects itself because it's wounded. When in reality, all they need to do is just sit with like, what are they feeling? Like anytime you see a negative comment ever, just know that that is wounding. So if like you put yourself out there, like if you know you have a song inside of you and you are a little bit afraid of like, what are people going to think? And you put it out there, and then people are like, this sucks. This is bullshit. That's their shit. That's their wounding. Remember that. Don't take anything personal. And so why I'm bringing this forward as well is like, I've seen this. Like people are freaking out right now about the way the unbreakable man is showing up, because I have a paradigm that completely rips apart the old ideals of this structured self of masculinity. That masculinity must be strong or tough. Must be tough, right? But then at the same time, we are soft and sensitive. And it's like, there's like these kind of vying poles. I've had some people tell me, this is like what's really funny. I've had some people that are in my friend group tell me like that I'm being too masculine, right? Like men are, you know, can feel too. And I've had guys in my friend group, or actually not even guys in my friend group, but like people that like across the country, like literally sending hate, like just so much hate. Cause like they see a moment where a guy is soft and I like hold a man like in his softness, and I hold like structured presence, masculine containment for him to be all of himself, and just for let him die off like all of the old parts of himself, and just hold space. People are freaking out about it. That's the funny thing. So no matter what you do, if you do anything with purpose, you will find haters. They will come out. They'll come out of the woodwork. But that's also part of your medicine. It's also part of the thing that you need to do, because you got a song, you got a book, you got something in you that you know you need to bring forward. Like you're going to find the people that don't want you to succeed, because it rattles their paradigm. It rattles their cage. And for me, the paradigm that I'm rattling is the emotional paradigm that men have for themselves. And so I'm getting a lot of emotional outlets, right? And it's coming through. So just know When you want to excel and succeed in life, you must feel. You must feel. Use the lover archetype in that sense. When you know you're in the shadow form of that is when you're in the addiction. And so you got to, again, announce to yourself that fuck, man, like been watching porn every night. Stop fucking watching porn for a while. Just knock it off. Right? Or maybe you're drinking too much alcohol. Maybe you've been drinking just like, and maybe it's not even too much. Maybe it's just like a glass of wine, but it's every night, 5 nights a week, whatever. You're using it. You're trying to find something. If instead, let that shit go and then go within. It's also the reason when I guide guys through, it's like I put them into a 90-day challenge and it's like no porn, no alcohol, no drugs. That's it. Can you do that for 90 days and do the other things that I tell you in the 90-day challenge? Like work out, get into an ice bath, breathe, meditate, do those things. Very simple, a very simple challenge. But like, can you do it? Because it's when you do it, it's going to change things. Woo! That's the hard part sometimes. All right. Change is hard, but you got to be able to use the lover archetype to feel. And when you do, everything will change. All right. Promise you guys this. I know you have the strength. I know you have everything within you to take action. If you have been thinking about stepping in to the Unbreakable Man, now is the absolute time. Like we need men. We need heart-centered, whole men with a strong motherfucking back and an open heart that are sensitive, that are empathetic, that have emotional intelligence to lead this world into a new dawn. I cannot even emphasize that enough. Like we need you. We need you. So if you have been thinking about stepping into the Unbreakable Man experience at all, or just using the Unbreakable Man at all, now's the time. Go to theunbreakableman.com, apply, register, jump into one of our programs. Most likely, I think what we got up there right now is the experience because that is what's going on. That's a live 3-day event plus 3 months of mentoring on the back end, which will completely change your life. I'm just going to tell you right now, every guy that's come through, it's changed their life. I have had men that I will tell you this, it's very challenging. It's very emotionally challenging. That's the point. And I have had men that were so challenged by it that they did leave. I'm just going to tell you that. That's how challenging it is. That's really important to announce because I'm going to confront all of the reasons that you think you can't move forward in life. And that's why it's challenging because I know you're bullshit. I've been there. I got an incredible bullshit meter. So if you're looking for something like that, if you're really genuinely looking for change, looking for purpose, looking for more passion, more excitement, more vitality in life, then definitely come to the Unbreakable Man experience. Again, you'll get the 3-day event plus the coaching on the back end. It's a powerful, powerful experience. And I promise you it'll change your life. I mean, I can't guarantee anything, how they go, but if you get, I'll put it this way. If you get nothing of value in that event, just nothing of value at all, I'll give you all your money back. There's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. I'm full in. So I appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next episode. We're going to go back to some solo casts. We're going to have some more guests coming on the podcast. And so it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing year. And if y'all have questions, reach out through the platform. We can go to Instagram. I'm Dr. Dave Cohodes, Dr. David Cohodes, I think on there. Yeah. Reach out, guys. I appreciate y'all. Have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next episode.